My name is Anshul Fernando, and I'm going to be talking to you today about how to pin a butterfly. We're going to start from scratch. So what I have before me is a bottle of pine sol. I have some cotton batting, and I've got a gigantic Tupperware container which we're going to convert into a hydration box. So we've had a lot of questions as to how do you make a hydration box and what are the steps. So I'm going to go in detail how I actually make a hydration box. So the first step, what we want to do is we want to take some pine sol. How much would you say? Well, I'm going to be hydrating the entire surface area of this Tupperware container. So I'm going to be using 2 capfuls. So I've already done this so many times. I'm just going to eyeball it what 2 capfuls are worth. That's what that is. And now I'm going to use some extremely hot water to make this solution what it needs to be. And that's not going to work because the water main is broken. We don't have any water. Of all the days for our water to be turned off, it's today. So what I've done, because I want to have the continuity of what I'm showing you today, I'm improvising and it's going to work. I'm going to be using snow instead of hot water. If you have a look here, I filled up this Tupperware container with snow, and there's pine sol on the bottom, and as the snow will melt, it'll mix in with the pine sol and we'll be able to use this as our hydration box. So before I actually start putting the specimens in here, with my forceps I'm just going to move the snow to make sure that it's in equal parts everywhere, and then I'm going to place on top of it a piece of cotton batting. And that's going to prevent any of the moisture from creeping up. So here's my cotton batting. And I'll be placing it on top like this. So now we're ready to actually place on this, in this Tupperware container, the actual styrofoam and then the specimens. So I've brought my hydration box to my workstation. This is where I do all of my pinning, and this is where I place all the specimens into the hydration box. So I'm going to take a piece of styrofoam that I've already pre-cut to the surface area of this Tupperware container. And I'm going to place it down, and it's now perfectly in place. Now if you'll notice, I've got a roll of toilet paper here, and I use this specifically for the purposes of making the hydration box. So I'm going to take out 4 sheets. I'm going to be layering it across. Now this is going to form my buffer so that the moisture doesn't get to overwhelm the specimens. So that's one. It's okay if there's a little bit of droplets that go on the toilet paper. It's not a big deal. You just want it to be as the main buffer so that the wings don't get sopping wet. So now the hydration box is complete, and I'm actually ready to start placing the specimens inside. So I'm going to show you how I do this. This is a pair of tweezers that I use, and we'll start by taking some of the more large specimens out. So what we have here is my work area where I'm going to be taking these specimens out of their envelopes. So one of the most important things that I do here is I want to make sure that I don't break the antenna off when I'm opening this up. I want to be as careful as possible. So the costal margin happens to be the strongest part of the butterfly's wing. You can either pick it up with your fingers with that, or you can use a pair of tweezers. I'm going to use my fingers because it's such a heavy bodied creature. So here we have Thyssania agrippina. I'm just going to place it right at the beginning here, and I move the envelope aside and I save it because the collecting data is actually on the envelope and I want to preserve that. It's really important that you have the context of where your specimens are from, the date when they've been taken, because that gives it the scientific reference. And also I have the good fortune of reusing these envelopes because I go out there and I collect in the wild in areas that are not threatened. So I will just reuse these envelopes, and saves me the time and money and the environment, the trees, because these are time consuming to make. So here's my third Thyssania agrippina. You notice how I stagger it. I stagger it one over the other, but it's only the wings that are touching. I make sure the legs never touch. And the reason I don't want the legs to touch is because the legs can scratch the wings. Now, you might be noticing that they are actually a little bit higher up than where the lid is going to be, and that's by intention. We want to make sure that these butterflies are getting the maximum hydration possible. Here's another butterfly that many of you might appreciate, and that is Papilio antimachus, and this comes from the Republic of Central Africa. Again, I'm going to go along with the theme of how I'm placing them, one overlapping the other, because I want to have the maximal space available. Now I always go biggest to smallest, and that gives me the ease of use and the maximum space for inside the hydration box. This one here is Papilio ulysses autolycus from Papua New Guinea. I'm going to be placing it just a little bit differently than the rest of them, just to give it extra room. Ideally, what we want to see is that the thorax and abdomen are touching the toilet paper, because that toilet paper is going to be absorbing as much as possible. So I will keep the wings off of the paper as much as possible, and it's in fact these two butterfly wings that are having the greatest exposure to the moist toilet paper. And it's not moist yet, it's still dry. Here we have a very beautiful Tianopalpus. And its corresponding female. We're going to hydrate this. Now you'll notice that there's oils here. We're going to be able to get rid of those oils. I'll teach you how to be able to do that, but we're not going to do it before we mount it. So I'm going to keep on continuing to fill it up until it's completely full, and then I'm going to leave it in the hydration box for approximately 3 days. The pine sol is going to prevent any type of mold or fungus from accumulating. And if by chance they still are not hydrated by the 3rd day, I have a secret strategy that I employ. I use super hot water and an injection by the 3rd day. When there's an antenna that's separated, I just keep it right beside the specimen. because I'll be able to adhere that later on. Those are Agrius amidon trifon from Satipo. Look at this. This one here is Asterope optima. That's from northern Peru. You can see the hint of the inside there. Quite exquisite, the blue. And I will finish the hydration box and then seal it up with its lid. Here we have the hydration box complete with all the specimens that I would like to hydrate for my pinning session that's coming up in 3 days' time. You'll notice on the right hand side I've got mainly the larger moths, and also on the left hand side, and then in the center I've got the medium-sized to small-sized butterflies. Obviously it's going to be the small-sized butterflies that get hydrated quicker and faster than the bigger ones, so I will be testing those day after tomorrow to see where their status is at. And if there's any issues with this hydration box, I will make some minor adjustments. But it looks like everything is going to be just fine. Now this toilet paper, especially right here where my hands are, you can see that toilet paper is hanging over. That's also by intention. That's going to allow for moisture to be drawn up and spread through the various areas of the toilet paper and help the butterflies get hydrated faster. So I'm now going to put the lid on this, seal it up. Now it is absolutely clear that this lid is going to touch the wings of the butterflies, but that's also okay because we know that condensation occurs, and you can have a look here and you can see that all the wings are touching indeed the top of the lid. It's not going to have any negative effect whatsoever. So this is how you make a hydration box. And all of this, guys, just to recap, it's snow. It's not yet melted into water, but that's not a big deal. It'll work. We'll see you back in about 3 days. Bye for now. There are many ways to create a hydration box. Many ways to hydrate your specimens. I've tried numerous ones over the last 4 decades, and I believe that the technique that I'm using here proves to have the least amount of damage while allowing for the greatest amount of mobility and allowing me to have the best results from my mounting. During my peak, when I was able to mount the most, I was able to mount 150 butterflies in a day using these measures. Now I'm sharing that with you guys so that you understand that this creates a certain kind of efficiency. So 150 butterflies in a day is a lot. Now I've met some people who I've taught this technique to, and they have managed to pin 200 in a day. I haven't been able to do that. I would like you guys to understand that it's the antenna as well as the muscles within the body that are really critical in allowing for us to be able to have the results that we have. So don't feel bad if your technique that you're using is very different than what I'm showing. If it works for you and you're happy with the results, go for it. This is just what I happen to like and what I use. Now if you like my method, please like it and subscribe, and of course share it with those others that would like to understand and master this craft. Thank you for watching.